Hey ho, it's Meredith, and Tom's here too, from the Potato Museum show, and we're in a new venue. This is the library, and as you can see, we have a vast array of books all the way across this wall, and a good portion of them, of course, are potato, but we also have food topics.
Yeah, we're looking at the potato collection now, and this is just some of them. The rest of them are in storage. But you've selected a few books, and we're going to do one children's book at a time, a video, right?
Right, and this one we're starting with.
Okay, but just before we do that, I just wanted to say we're using also the part of the library as a staging area where we develop all of these shows that we're doing. So you can see there's up to 65. Each one of these pockets is a category or subject that we're developing for these shows. That's how we do this. So we're going to do a series on children's literature featuring the potato. And we're going to start with Potatoes, Potatoes by Anita Lobel.
And here it is. Potatoes, potatoes, potatoes. On and on it goes. And then finally, this lovely picture in the front. And here's the book. Long ago, there were two countries, one in the east and the other in the west. One day, they started a war with each other. No one had time to take care of the fields or the cows or the chickens. And between battles, the people spent all their time polishing swords, making cannonballs, and sewing buttons on soldiers' uniforms. In a valley between these two countries lived a woman who did not bother with the war. She had two sons. She had a cow, some chickens, and a large potato field. To protect her potatoes and her boys from the war, she built a wall around everything she owned. The boys loved their mother. They helped to plant, weed, and harvest the potatoes. They took care of the animals. They liked their soft beds and their cozy house. But why must we have a wall around us, they sometimes asked. Because my potatoes will not grow if the winds from the east and the west blow on them, their mother would answer. Oh boy, this is not... Okay. Oh, on cold winter nights when storms and battles raged outside, they baked their potatoes in a fire and ate them. But the two sons grew up. One day, the older son looked toward the east and saw a regiment of soldiers marching by. "Mother, look at the red uniforms and beautiful swords. I have seen red uniforms tattered and muddy and swords bent and broken." His mother answered, "Please don't bother me and go back to your work. We'll have boiled potatoes with sour cream for dinner. I'm tired of planting potatoes," cried her son. "Goodbye, Mother." And he ran off toward the east. The next day, the younger son looked toward the west and saw a regiment of soldiers marching by. "Mother, look at the blue uniforms and the shiny medals," he cried, dropping his spade. "I have seen blue uniforms torn and stained with blood and medals rusting in the fields. Do your work now," pleaded his mother. "I'll make you some potato pancakes later." "I'm tired of eating potatoes," said her son. "Goodbye, Mother," and off he ran toward the west. Left all alone, the woman cried bitterly. Then she bolted her door and went back to the potato field. Okay, so the new sons, I'm going to skip ahead a little, liked being soldiers. Their uniforms were new, their swords gleamed, ladies threw flowers as they marched by, and each became a commander of the east and the west. Many battles were fought, but sometimes after a battle, the general looked at his muddied uniform and bent sword and thought of a baked potato and a soft bed. And the other commander thought of potato planting and a warm fire. They thought of their mother and felt sad. Still more battles were fought. There was nothing left to eat in the east or the west. "We're hungry," cried all the soldiers in the army of the east. "We want food," demanded all the soldiers in the army of the west. One night, the two armies marched toward the valley where the woman and the potatoes were. "Mother, my soldiers are hungry," cried the elder son. "We must be strong to win battles." "Mom, my men want food." There was stony silence behind the wall. "Potatoes, potatoes," the soldiers began to shout. "Potatoes, potatoes, potatoes, potatoes. Let us break down the wall and get the potatoes." And of course, look at the two armies. A furious battle for the potatoes began. Soon the wall had tumbled down, the house lay in ruins, the cow and the chickens were gone, the field was trampled, and a woman lay on the ground without moving. The general and the commander looked at their mother and all the broken things and began to weep. Mother, mother, this is our fault. What have we done? Speak to us. The battle had stopped. The soldiers stood very still. All the soldiers began to cry. But the woman was not dead. She let everyone weep for a while. Then she opened her eyes and stood up. Even though you have ruined my house and my field, I still have enough potatoes in the cellar to feed all of you. But before I will give you even one peel, you must promise to stop all the fighting and clean up this mess and go home to your mothers. We're so hungry and tired of fighting. We will do anything you say. Let us have some potatoes. Oh, Mother, you might have been killed. We are so happy you are not dead. Please forgive us. Hurrah for potatoes and hurrah for mothers, shouted the soldiers when they had eaten and felt better. They began to sing songs their mother had taught them. Soon the singing was heard in the east and the west. Many mothers found their sons. Everywhere mothers and sons fell into each other's arms. They thanked the woman for the good potatoes and said goodbye. They went home to the east and home to the west. They took off their uniforms, told the people to stop polishing swords. The two sons buried their swords and medals. They helped their mother plant new potatoes in the field. They rebuilt their mother's house and mended the broken things, but they did not rebuild the wall. Bam.